you have not met me yet, my name is Marcy and I am a crafter from northern Wisconsin. Look, you guys, I'm back in the she shed. Again, why are these so hard to start? I have a cup of coffee with me today because it has been that kind of day and I am dragging, so I need a big mug of caffeine right now. Okay, because I am out in the she shed, it's a nice day and I've got windows open all over, so you might hear some birds, you might hear the chickens, you might hear some crows. The crows have been especially chatty the last few days. Okay, I have my show notes. It looks like I have one works in progress to share, a few new starts, one FFO, one thing that I'm just going to talk about because I'm this close to being fully finished with it and I don't want to share it until it's fully done. And I'm sure there is something else, but I can't quite remember. We will be drawing for the winner of the project bag and the thread bed. So let me first talk about the wheel. In my last video, I said that I wanted to spice up my crafting life, and so I got the wheel, spin the wheel app on my Android. And I put a whole bunch of stuff on there, and I guess I don't have anything that's like deadline driven on it, so there's no rush to do anything that I've got on there right now. And I will say, having the wheel does change things a little bit. Not that I feel stressed about what I'm going to work on any given night, but the anticipation of what I might be working on is kind of thrilling. So I didn't start spinning the wheel right away after my last video. I think I started it on the weekend and decided that I would, if it was a cross stitch project, I would work on it for at least 500 stitches and then put that away and then spin the wheel again. If I spun something for knitting or crochet, I would just work on it for that evening and then spin the wheel the next day, because I toyed around with the idea of like working on a yarn project more than one evening, but I thought, no, this kind of keeps things moving along in a way. And I also put my spinning on it, which I spun that last night. So I spun for a couple of hours and that was fun. I haven't spun in, I don't know how long. It's been a very long time since I last took the spinning wheel out and did anything with it. I feel like there's something I am forgetting. So I think I'm gonna pause for a moment while I ponder this. All right, I remembered what it was I was gonna say. About the wheel. I decided to add a couple extra elements to it just to kind of to beat a pun to death, to spice things up a little bit. I added, well, I'll put this up here. So hopefully that's not backwards, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see. I started thinking about it would be fun to have some elements on there, like a board game. You know how sometimes you have a free space or go back one or go back two spaces. So I added those on. And the first night that I added free space, I spun free space. So I figured with spinning the free space, I have the option of just not doing anything that night, or it's kind of like whatever I want to do, or choose to spin again. And that night what did I do? I wrote it down on my blog, but right now I can't remember what I did. I think that was Monday night. So that was, I was like, seriously? Like the first time after I put that on. And then, what else have I spun? Well, like I said, last night it was spinning. A couple other times that I spun, it was an old whip and a new start. So it's been fun so far. I mean, granted, it's only been like a week, but like I said, the fun is there, and I will spin this now with you so you can see what I will be working on tonight. And I can't remember if I have the noise on there or not. I don't think I do, because lately noises have been overstimulating, so I've been shutting everything off that I can. All right, let's see. Farmyard Friends. Okay, well, that is a Sal. That's a Sal with Alison and I can't remember her real name. Stitchy Plum over on Instagram. So since the assignment for that month is done already, I will spin again. Something sewing related. So I will be doing something sewing related tonight, which will actually work out very well for me because of that one finished project that needs to be fully FFO'd. So perfect. All right. So with that out of the way, you can kind of tell what I've been doing for the last week to kind of keep the projects going. So first time I spun, I think it was an old whip, and it was my old Porky Stitch, which I think I've said before on previous episodes that it's in an 11 by 17 Q-snap. I use my Hope stand for it. It's kind of a production to bring it out and work on it. And I figured out a setup in the craft room that if I wanted to work on it, I could go in there and work on it. But I didn't want to work on it in the craft room at the time that I spun it. So I had to kind of rejigger some things with the Hope stand and haul it out to my stitchy spot out in the living room and work on it. And you know what? I had so much fun working on it, and I thought, why did I stop? Why did I feel intimidated by this project and not want to work on it? So I actually had to keep myself from working on it. I'm looking for my project card for it, and I'm not seeing it. It's because it's not a new project card that I'm used to. Before I got my project cards, I was doing things down on index cards. So, Porcupine Cross Stitch, I started it June 27th, 2024. I purchased it from Purple Stitching over on Etsy. It is on 14 count Ada, so the finished piece is gonna be big. I'm stitching on a half yard of Ada fabric that I purchased from Leann over at Forbidden Fiber Co. There's like 49 colors. This is what it looks like. Old print job on the old printer, so there's going to be some lines running through it, but that's the gist of it. I took a picture of it before I started stitching on it, and I will put that somewhere around here. When I started stitching on it this time, I had around 1,500 stitches. No, less than, because I decided to stitch it up to 2,000 stitches just so that it would be easy for me to remember when to stop. Kind of make like even numbers. So the next time it spins or that I work on it, I will work on it till it's 2,500 stitches. So this time when I worked on it, I actually put in more than 500 stitches to get that number. I'm storing it in a pillowcase. Now, I will say the last time I took it out, I didn't work on it. No, I didn't work on it because my old Kindle died and I didn't have a backup on my pattern keeper, so I kind of had to redo that manually. And then I decided to pull this out and put grid lines on with the water soluble pen. And well, let me show this first before I talk about the other stuff. But this is where I am so far, and you can see I started working some of the grid lines. Yeah, I just had a ball working on it this past weekend, and 500 and some stitches just kind of flew by for me, which is crazy to me. But, okay. Anytime that I've not worked on this, I've had it stored in here. And I've had it in a safe space in the craft room. It's not under anything or tucked next to anything like that. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a discoloration on here. And I don't know what it's from. And I don't think I sprayed this down or anything when I was making the lines. So what could have caused that? I don't know. And I don't want to try to clean it up right now because I'll lose my lines. So that is where I am so far, and I've kind of fallen in love with it all over again. I'll do a close-up to show the needle minders. I purchased those off of Etsy at Sweet Autumn Stitch, I think the site's called. On all my show notes at the bottom, I have a listing of Etsy sites and websites of friends who have online presence. An online presence that I highly encourage you to go check them out. And the gal that made these needle minders, her Etsy site is listed there as well because she's got great customer service and I love all her needle minders. Although now that I've figured out how to make my own needle minders, I don't know how many I'll be purchasing down the road. And I forgot to share. There's all the colors for it. It's a dark stitch, and I understand now why people who do the full coverage, big full coverage projects choose to go towards ones that have a lot of bright colors in them. Yeah. So yeah, that's the only work in progress I have going. That's not a new start. So new starts, thanks to the wheel, I have 2 new starts. One is a patriotic stitch. That was the first one. USA 250 by Wrought Iron Stitching. There's the project card. I'm keeping it in one of the bags I made. Not many colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. And I made that myself. I'm just so proud of it. Fabric is 14 count Aida. It's some Aida that I dyed myself. I tried to match what the model stitch was stitched on. or suggested. I can't remember now if that was a real live cross stitch showing in the picture or if it was computer generated. But I will put a picture of what it looks like here. And this is where I am so far. Upside down. Gotta love that. Okay. I forgot to bring a board out with me. Oh well. But this is where I am so far. It's the shield, which is on the front of the body. I've got the legs and the tail done. This is a little over 500 stitches. I want to say it's 700 stitches maybe. But yeah, it doesn't show in the video, of course, but I thought there was a lot of sheen to this blue when I was stitching it up, and I didn't want to finish stitching it. I wanted to see how it looked completed. But yeah, I thought that was a good place to stop. Of course, I wanted to keep going with it because it was, so far, this is a really easy stitch and a lot of block color stitching. When I get to the wings and you got to leave some spaces blank for the lines, I may struggle with that part. But so far, good. I feel like I could have this done really quick and done before July. We'll see. The plan for this one when it's done is to be framed and hung up on the wall. I'm so glad I have someone to fill in the quiet spaces. The next new start I have is something that I kitted up at the beginning of the year. And I was just waiting for the time to start it. This is another bag that I made. It is the Western Meadowlark by Lumi Stitches. It was part of her Bird Crush Club back in 2022, which doesn't seem quite right, but when I looked for the date, it said 2022. I can't believe that I've been holding on to that for 4 years already. Those are my stats. I started it April 13th. Using the call for colors. Fabric is 14 count Aida that I dyed myself, because now that I feel comfortable dyeing Aida fabric myself, I want to dye all of the fabric. Kind of, but not really. Here's the colors. Here's another thread bling that I did myself using one of the stickers that came with the club. And okay, when I first kitted this up, I had this in mind for it, the vintage blue. Now, if I picked it out because it was a soft white blue mottled color, kind of reminded me of blue sky with soft white clouds going through. And when I pulled this out to start it, I looked at it this time and thought, there is no way I'm going to be able to stitch that. I just realized I showed you the wrong side before. There was no way I was going to be able to stitch it and have those daisies show up. So I said, oh, okay. Well, I will dye the fabric. I'll over dye it. And the blue that was already on the fabric came through nicely. It's very subtle. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. So, as you saw, this is what it looks like. And I think I posted a picture of this on the blog already too. And here I am so far. and it is 500 stitches exactly. And you can kind of see where the blue of the original fabric dye job, printing, whatever, comes through. Although looking at the screen, it maybe you can see it better this way. Well, anyways, I promise it's there. That was something very nice to stitch on some days that were gray and cold, and felt like a promise that spring will eventually get here. I mean, spring is here. We have had some nice days, but the weekend that I started it, that was not a nice day. That is it for the cross stitch, which I don't know why I should be surprised, because I know I didn't do a whole lot. I have one FFO. I need to grab the card. My FFO that I want to share is Love a Fur Baby by SamBrie Stitches. I stitched this, and it looks like March 26th, and completed it March 28th. It will be a, if I just send her pictures, is it still considered a model stitch? I purchased it from her Gumroad, 14 count Ada, 4 colors of DMC. I just sent, yesterday I took pictures of it and sent it off to Becca. And I think the pictures will work just fine for her cover photo when she, well, whatever she decides to do with the pattern, because she said she was going to take it off her Gumroad and put it on her Etsy for $5. All that to say, here we go. All you need is love and a fur baby. Very quick stitch. I think it was around 600-ish stitches. I did not write that down. I enjoyed it. Here's the back. Nothing fancy, but it matched the front. It took me a little while to FFO this. I had a little bit of analysis paralysis with it, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to just frame it or make a pillow, or make a pillow with pom-pom trim. And then I decided I was just going to make it with pom-pom trim. I think part of it was because I knew this was, whatever picture she chooses is going to go on the front of the chart for the pattern. So I felt a little intimidated by that, which I totally shouldn't have, but I did. So that is it. My only fur baby is Pfeffer, and I already have a pillow for him, so this will likely go as a gift to someone I know who has a kitty or a puppy dog. The last cross stitch piece that I have that is done, but not FFO'd yet, but so close, is Sweet Bee 250, I think is what it's called. If I'll put the name here, but it is a chart by Alison over Miss AZ Family Zoo. That was, let's see, I think she put it up for sale April 10th or April 11th. I'm not sure which. I saw it, decided I needed to stitch it right away, and purchased it, and I think I stitched it. I got almost all of it done, and then I realized I made a mistake on it. So the next morning I had to rip part of it out. You know, it was one of those ridiculous errors where you're like one row off. You know, I was working down, and then instead of 2 stitches, I did 3 or something like that. It was just off enough for everything to look off kilter. So I had to rip out part of the border and actually the bottom of the words, because I based that off of something. Counting is hard, you guys. Counting is hard. So I will, let's see. Here's my project card. I dyed the fabric again myself. It was green. I decided to go with green. And then I thought, what would happen if I overdyed that with some yellow? And I'm pretty pleased with how the color turned out. Put a picture of it here with while it was still in the hoop before I took it out and ironed it and started getting ready for finishing it. I'm pretty happy with how the color turned out. At first I thought it kind of looked like kind of like an acidy green, but it softened on me. So I measured these with my heart, so I don't think I'd be able to replicate it ever again, but I have a pretty good idea of how I did it. So okay, cross stitch is officially done. 2 things to talk about for knitting. One is I started my second vanilla sock. Last time, finished sock. Patton's Croy sock yarn in the blue stripe braid colorway yarn I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I started these socks around January 1st. It's a project that I usually work on only when I'm in the car and we're going to town and I'm not driving. Although there have been a couple of times while I was sitting at home for lack of anything else to do. I wanted my hands needed to be busy, but I didn't want to have to think, so I pulled this out and knit a few rounds on it. I am, I think, 33 rows in so far out of 60. So not too bad for working on it only a few times in the last week and a half. The next thing I want to share about my knitting is my Ermonde cardigan. Last video, I talked about my woe with the one side not being even with the other side, and then the dye lot not being the same, which I thought I could get past, but I guess not, because I looked at a photo on my camera roll when I was getting ready to do a blog post, I think, and I just, yeah, I frogged it. I took a couple hours one evening and ripped it all back. Yeah. I saw the one photo and it brought me back to, I don't remember how many years ago, when I was making a harvest cardigan by Tin Can Knits in gray. I bought all of that yarn at the same time too. Everything looked fine. And I was knitting away happily on it. And then my husband and I were getting ready to go somewhere. And I brought it with me. And I got it out in the sunshine in the car. And the top part was gray. And the bottom part was like this cornflower blue. I mean, the color difference was so bad. And for some reason, it only showed up during when I was out in the sunlight. And I said, there's no way I can continue with this. And I was so close to being done with that one too. So I have decided I'm going to use this yarn in my Maeve crochet blanket. I'll knit 10 squares in this gold color, and then the rest will be different colors. So I won't have to worry about what yarn to use next in that blanket, because I'll be making 10 squares out of this. So no more Armande. I am not sure what I'm going to cast on next. So I'm thinking I've got some old interweave knit magazines, and I may flip through those. The reason why is because they're just sitting there waiting for somebody to work on the projects in there, rather than, you know, go online and search for patterns that way, which, you know, I paid for the magazines. It's like the just cross stitch magazines. I paid for the magazines. Why am I not utilizing them? So that's what I'm going to do with that. Okay, other housekeeping. I did buy my ticket to Spring Mingle, so I will be attending that as long as I remember to go on that weekend. Hopefully I don't have any issues like I did for the Jingle Ball, because that was awfully frustrating, but I'm excited to be attending that this year. I decided this year I would attend all the virtual events. Next year I'm not sure what I'll do, but this year I'm making an effort to well, you know how good intentions are and stuff. I guess even if I I don't think I'll be on all day now that I think about it, because May 19th, I think that's when my sister-in-law is coming up for her visit. So shoot. Yeah, if I'm not on, if I go on, it'll be like late in the evening. So, but you know, I'll do what I can. But yeah, I'm curious to see what patterns will be available for purchase on those days. Oh well. My friend Patty, I think she said she purchased a ticket, and then she's going to be gone somewhere too, so she might not be able to attend. Patty with Stitching with My Kitties, she said she had purchased the hands-on design class, and she said thank goodness there's 30 days, it's available for 30 days afterwards. Now that I think about it, yeah. Oh well. Okay, a couple other things that I want to share. Kenzie over at Mudpuppy Stitchery and Jessica over at Lumi Stitches both put out new charts in the last month or so. So I encourage everybody to go check them out. Mudpuppy Stitchery is a local designer to me. She's over in Minnesota, so I feel like we're practically neighbors. So I try to promote her as much as I can. And then Jess, she does a lot of really cute charts, smaller charts, and I'm not sure how many of hers I already have, and I gotta, both of them. I've got all kinds of charts from them, but I haven't started any yet, and I really need to rectify that. What else? I guess I don't have as many notes as I thought I did, but something that I have been wanting to do since I don't remember what time last year, but Bethany over at Bethany Bird Stitcher, last year she said something about Mudpuppy May. And I liked the idea of that so much that I wrote it down in my book of days so I could do it this year. And I'm going to do it this year. And when I first started thinking about it, I wasn't sure if I was going to do 2 charts or 4 charts because well, I've got a list of 4 that I need to pull floss for, and they are George's Frog. Kenzie just put out a new one called Grackle. Then there's Spike the Porcupine, and if you know me, you know I love porcupines, hence the big full coverage porcupine that I can't seem to work on, even though I talk about it so much. And then Eastern Bluebird. I think I'm going to use the wheel somehow, in some way, to kind of move things along on that. I thought about doing 1 chart per week, but then I thought it might be fun to work on one, work on one a day or 3, and then spin the wheel, and then choose another one. We'll see. We still got time. Someone must be getting ready to lay an egg. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how well that's coming out over on this. I love my girls. Okay. I brought out my tablet so I could kind of help facilitate the choosing of who wins the bag that I made. Okay, I kind of, for as long as I've had this, I've really only used this for Pattern Keeper, and I just remembered a story that I wanted to tell you guys about Pattern Keeper that I forgot about till just now. Ooh, shiny. Okay, I have a bunch of paper patterns, and I'm not afraid to try scanning or taking pictures and moving the paper patterns into the digital form. Especially now that I got a new printer, and the printer I had before was like 15 years old. The driver was so old on it that the only way I could connect my computer to it was through a wire. And then for whatever reason, I couldn't get it to scan or something, and hindsight being what it is, I probably could have scanned directly from the computer rather than the buttons on the printer itself. Neither here nor there. Anyways, I scanned this one in, and I couldn't get the grid to work quite right the way I wanted it to, and I couldn't understand it. I was double checking that I was keying in the correct numbers and everything, and it was just, they were all off by just a little bit. This way was fine, but this way was not. And I bet you I spent a couple of hours over the course of a weekend trying to do this. And I'm like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? I'm keying it in. I'm keying it in. And let's see where I was keying it in, okay. I was doing the charts because there's a chart portion up here, there's a chart portion down there. So it's 33 high and 69 across. Remember I just said about it being 69 across? Yeah, counting got me. I wish, let's see. Because I have to show, because why not? It goes from the center, it goes over this way 40. It goes from the center over this way to 30. And then I was counting the remaining over here. Don't ask me why, but for whatever reason, I thought that was 69. And then I realized that it was 79. And as soon as I put that in, everything lined up just fine. I mean, tell me I am not the only person that has done that before, because, yeah. So anyways, that was my, once I realized I did that and I got it in and got it to work right, and I was like, I can do all the things. So, okay. I went to commentshark.com and put the link to the YouTube video on here. And I hope all I have to do is just hit this button. So let's see. Oh. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Let's try this again. Why is this so hard? All right, let's see. Nope, it's doing that again. Congratulations, Jess. I think this is funny because I just went to her Etsy site today and bought a bag from her, so. Oh, Jess. I will look to see if I have your address. If not, let me know. Okay, that is everything that I have to share for this video. As always, no fancy outro. I do want to say thank you for taking the time to spend time with me today. It is always appreciated. And I always love interacting with you guys down in the comments and the Instagram messages. And so, that being said, until next time, bye!